telling you, the commander's got plans for this loser. Why else would he be going through all this trouble?
I still don't understand why he trusts a criminal. Seems like too much of a risk.
Bethesda doesn't always give us the chance to play the bad guy in their games. So when they announced that we could join the Crimson Fleet, Starfield's motley crew of pirates, a lot of people, including myself, were excited. Serving as one of the 4 factions in-game, the Crimson Fleet is the one that, to me, stood out the most, having different ways to join them and different outcomes depending on your choices throughout its questline. Today, I'll be walking you through how to join the Crimson Fleet, the benefits of being a space pirate, and the major choices at the end of the questline, along with the rewards that you can get. While there are 2 main ways to join the Crimson Fleet, it requires you to go through the United Colonies at some level. The first way, which I had discovered on my very first character, is by joining the UC Vanguard. After completing the preliminary mission for them on Tau Ceti, you'll be asked to meet with Commander Akande aboard the UC Vigilance in the Sol System. Having been impressed by your actions on Tau Ceti, he thinks you're the perfect candidate for his latest operation against the Crimson Fleet. The second way is to simply commit a crime in UC-controlled space. This can be done as early as reaching New Atlantis. It can be for something as drastic as attacking citizens or UC security, or for something as minor as stealing a cup of coffee. If anything, it's a lot funnier to be treated as this terrible criminal scum over coffee. At this point, the arresting officer will say that they have special orders, and that you won't be going to a regular jail cell. You're then taken aboard the UC Vigilance, where you meet with Commander Akande and he gives you a chance to commute your sentence. You coffee thief, you. By going undercover with the Crimson Fleet. During this interrogation with the commander, you'll be given the choice to agree to his operation or to flat out refuse. Agreeing to the op winds up putting you along the same path as joining through the UC Vanguard, working undercover, gathering evidence, and reporting back to SysDef on your mission progress. Refusing, on the other hand, makes you an enemy of SysDef moving forward, but allows you to join the Crimson Fleet after being released from holding on the Mars settlement of Sidonia. Once you've been released from prison, simply head down towards the main mining area, where you'll be approached by a man named Sebastian, who will put you in touch with Adler Kemp, and from here, you undergo your test to be admitted to the fleet. Just make sure you meet with Sebastian and get his formal invitation. Do not fly directly to the Crimson Fleet's base in the Crick system, because they will open fire and they will kill you. I like that we have a few different options here. There's 2 paths that can lead to going undercover, meaning that you can join this up as someone who's already a bit more loyal to the UC, or as a criminal who's being forced to work for them against their will. And then you have the option of cutting out the undercover operation altogether, and just becoming a pirate. For role-playing purposes, being arrested and forced to go undercover also gives the player a little bit more reason to be sympathetic to the pirates, and to lean towards siding with them in the end. After completing the initiation for the Crimson Fleet on the planet of Suvorov, you get full access to the Key, a former UC star station that the fleet has commandeered as their own. This serves as a major hub with a ship technician Jazz who sells unique items that you won't be able to get anywhere else, including the jammer to increase your chance of safely smuggling contraband. As you progress further in the questline, you'll unlock a couple other pieces of ship tech that can only be obtained from her, such as the comm spike and the conduction grid. In addition to this, you have your standard weapon, armor, and general traders. Not to mention the Crimson Fleet mission board, many of the smuggling and piracy jobs paying better than the jobs that you would find across other factions' mission boards in the game. Even early on in your undercover operation, you can start lying to Commander Akande about the Crimson Fleet's activities, giving you a bit of a roleplay opportunity to have your alliances start to shift. In the quest Eye of the Storm, you will have to make a final decision between siding with SysDef or the Crimson Fleet, with the final quest in the faction story, Legacy's End, playing out differently based on this choice. Either you join SysDef and destroy the Crimson Fleet's base and leadership, or you join the pirates, attacking the UC ship and freeing its prisoners. The funny thing is, either way, you get a mission reward of 250,000 credits. However, there's a few different perks and benefits that you can get depending on which side you ultimately sided with. Like I said, either way you get a guaranteed 250,000 credits. It's a good chunk of change. And if you side with SysDef, that's actually pretty much it. Lieutenant Toft Assistef will become a ship vendor, but only for modifying your existing ships, not for selling or buying new ones. And she doesn't have access to the unique modules that you would have been able to get from Jazz in the Crimson Fleet. However, siding with Systef does open up their Radiant job board for extra missions, and you'll be able to turn in more evidence that you find to Lieutenant Toft for extra credits. Siding with the Crimson Fleet means that you keep access to their star station, the Key, along with its vendors and even a new follower, Mathis. Siding with the Crimson Fleet at the end of the questline doesn't lock you out from the UC Vanguard faction if you still wish to do that later, meaning that you can still become a UC citizen, get property in New Atlantis, and so on. You're not treated as public enemy number 1, despite the fact that earlier in the questline, the Crimson Fleet's leadership says that they can't go to New Atlantis because they're too recognizable. With how much of the game's main story is based out of New Atlantis, it makes sense that you wouldn't be locked out from the entire city for the rest of the game. And by siding with the Crimson Fleet, you are still treated as an enemy of UC Systef, rather than as an enemy of the everyday people of the United Colonies. If you do want to play around with smuggling, it really feels like there's not too many downsides to staying with the fleet, especially given the access you have to the Key and its unique ship vendor. It's worth noting that the Key isn't the only place to sell contraband in the game, but it is one of the better options because of the greater number of vendors. The only significant downside I can see to siding with the fleet is that you lose out on an entire enemy faction when exploring. Since other members of the Crimson Fleet no longer attack you, you'll discover a lot of different points of interest on random planets with friendly pirates, eliminating a lot of potential combat scenarios from the rest of your playthrough. It also makes any bounty board jobs you take to kill the Crimson Fleet pirates null and void. Not to mention the 4 main Constellation companions will scold you for siding with bloodthirsty pirates. What I'll say personally is that contraband and smuggling feels like such a small part of the game, and isn't even necessarily the best way to make credits. So it's not like you're at some incredible disadvantage should you lose out on the Key and its unique ship components. Of course, you can always buy the smuggling jammers from the Key and then betray the Crimson Fleet in the end too. I mean, do you really need jammers on every ship that you own, or just for one designated smuggling ship? I would personally like it if there was maybe one more advantage from siding with Systef. Maybe have it be an alternative way to get your UC citizenship, or get a unique set of legendary armor. Or maybe this is just Bethesda's way of teaching us a lesson that you don't always get rewarded as much for being the good guy. For me, I joined Systef willingly because of my involvement with the UC Vanguard. And frankly, character-wise, the pirates didn't give me much reason to want to side with them. Not that the UC is perfect, and Conde will be pissed with you if you have to resort to violence in a lot of your undercover missions, but I still found the UC to be a bit more likable by comparison. In the end, I really enjoyed the Crimson Fleet questline. I love undercover stories and quests. Fallout 4's with the Institute was one of my favorite parts of the game, and I really liked having that approach to joining the Crimson Fleet for Starfield. And it's a fun pirate story too, chasing the legend of the Crimson Fleet's founder, searching for a mysterious treasure and so on. I was kind of expecting to have some more ways for the choices in the questline to impact the rest of the game, but I guess Bethesda didn't want to be too restrictive by locking you out of different factions and cities. I would have been okay with it if they had made things a little bit more restrictive, since we always have New Game Plus to see how the other side plays out. As always, thank you for watching. If there's anything in Starfield that you would like to see covered, let me know in a comment below. I've been putting a lot of time into streaming the game in hopes of finding a lot of the different things to talk about and to cover. It's actually kinda crazy how much time you can spend in the game just to realize how much more content there is that you haven't even touched yet. So we should have a lot of different video topics to cover for a very long time. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.